Good morning and afternoon and evening, people of That USA. My name is Eric. You guys know me oh so well. And in today's video, I'm sitting down with Jeremy Peterson, the National Operations Manager of the Command Center. Jeremy, good morning/afternoon. And, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm the National Operations Manager of the Command Center. Basically, it's just coordinating all of the event stuff that goes on before the actual event happens. Besides my FATSIM stuff, which is only like this much of what I actually do. I'm a student at University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC. Right now I'm in the hiring process of a public safety dispatching job. So that's what I'm up to of late, and that's how I'm doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. I'm also in the government kind of area, so that's kind of cool as well. So the new update of the Command Center was that VAT USA 9 and VAT USA 14 have now combined. So since this new update, what are some things that you're going to be doing to kind of make the Command Center better?
Yeah, so with the change in the Command Center structure, basically Ryan Geckler, who was VAT USA 9 and the Command Center manager, was just getting too busy. I mean, he's a real work controller, and with the traffic returning somewhat back to normal, he has to work. Makes sense. So he left the position, and I'm doing the combined position, the managing and the operations stuff. What I want to happen is for the VAT USA 9 position to remain consolidated like it is. So I'll be doing the managerial stuff while also doing the NOM position itself, which is what I've been doing this whole time. But what I want to happen to the 14 position, which is what I was before, I want that ideally to be not really an assistant position, but I want it to really contribute to the overall operation, ideally in a planning capacity. So I want that position to be focused on strategic planning. I want them to be looking ahead, and then also to be kind of taking control over the planning portion, the stuff that happens before an event. I want that to be consolidated at the 14 position while I continue to do the managerial stuff and also helping out with the actual operations. It isn't fully fledged. It isn't even approved yet. It's definitely something in the works, but I do have some ideas about what I want to do with the 14 position. As far as the Command Center structure goes, we started in August of last year in 2020, and we've changed quite a bit, but there's plenty of room for change, and there's a lot of room to grow. I think right now we have 13 or 14 NTMOs and NTMSs. Those are the traffic management officers and traffic management specialists that help out with the Command Center stuff. They help make sure facilities can communicate with each other and make sure that the Command Center knows what's going on during events, just so it can be of help, to be of assistance to the facilities. I want to expand the training opportunities. It's difficult because we don't really have a training person to do this. A lot of the knowledge and stuff that's very helpful to operating the Command Center is honestly, it's in most of our heads. Like, we know how to do it and we understand the capabilities and how we have to VATSImize things, but getting it on paper, that's definitely a goal, but it's difficult to do. You have to consolidate information. You have to make it concise and understandable. And then you actually have to write the documents. Currently, we don't have the resources to really do that, but it is something that I want to do. Provide a training resource to help people who want to contribute to the Command Center in the future, make that easy to do. One other area of focus that I'll talk about, it's sort of an emerging sector, at least in the long term. When we started the Command Center, the idea of streamers and large group flights was evident. It was around, but since I would say winter, so it's become, it's kind of exploded in popularity. I mean, you can see VAT USA now has its own streaming service, but alongside that, these people who stream, some of them, not all of them, bring in large cohorts of followers. So it creates an additional impact on the system that Command Center now has to look at and assess and then work around. Working with that USA 15 with the events manager is something that we're looking at doing a lot more, just because this is an emerging thing that we need to sort of get ahead of, doing our best with it. So whatever we have to do with that, we'll make sure that it doesn't create an adverse impact on the system.
And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of changes that come with both of those, or all of those, I guess is the best way to put it. So, thank you for that. other than all of those, is there any really like super long-term goals that you want to, put out, not something that's going to be happening within the next like, year, but, something that you want to do over time is kind of a slow and steady process that's going to take you some time?
Yeah. So actually, I've been running the command center officially since August. And, I've had this quasi command center kind of running in the background for even longer than that. So I've had a lot of time to develop or what I think are good ideas. You can call them whatever you want. But one of the big things I want to happen is I want the command center to be either a resource or the resource for traffic management information, basically the hub for what we call ATFM, or air traffic flow management. I want people who are interested in starting out to be able to access information that can help them get to proficiency level that they can actually apply to the network. I want people who are seasoned in traffic management to be able to collaborate and develop good techniques for traffic management and stuff like that. And then I also want to create a resource hub so that all this information can be in one place, consolidated, easy to access, organized, all of that stuff. So creating this idea of traffic management resources, something that I really want to do.
As a national traffic management specialist myself, I really hope that actually does become true, because it'll make my life easier for people who are coming in, as well as even some things that I don't know will be a little bit easier to see for myself. Is there anything that you want to put out to the people of VAT USA that you haven't stated prior to this?
It's sometimes puzzling how to communicate best with membership, because one, the membership is, really what creates the necessity for any sort of command center, because they're the ones who control the traffic and the pilots themselves actually use the airspace. But I think the biggest thing is if people have questions about what we do at the command center, which is completely valid because, first of all, for 20 years that VAT USA has been around, there hasn't really been a unified division level command center. So it would only make sense that there are questions. Basically, and I said this a little bit in my intro, but what we're trying to do is take whatever demand that's occurring, which is basically you connect to your flight and VATSIM and you want to fly somewhere. You wanting to fly somewhere, that's demand, because you want to use a resource that is limited. We want to balance that demand with the capacity that we have. If we have an event in Los Angeles, for instance, at LAX, they have 4 runways. And if it's a very busy event, then we could have 400 or so pilots that want to fly into LAX over a given time period. The 400 pilots, that's the demand. However, as we all know, LAX can only land so many planes in an hour, given certain conditions. In good conditions, when it's sunny, which is, it's LAX, so it's going to be more often than not, they can land a 68 rate. What that means is they can land 68 planes in an hour. If we have a lot more than that, there are going to be people waiting. If we have just about as much as they can handle, then it's, if LAX operates at 100% efficiency for 4 hours, then they can get it done. If they have, a lot less than that, then there's plenty of room. It's kind of gives them breathing space. So we're basically trying to strike that balance. Of course, we can't control demand as much as we want to, like they can in the real world, because people on VATSIM only, connect at most probably an hour before they want to fly, and even fewer people pre-final. So whereas in the real world, they have, official airline schedules that are transmitted, a week or so, or even more before planes actually leave the ground, which gives the traffic managers like a knowledge of, okay, Wednesday's going to be very busy. It's going to be higher volume than normal, or, there's an event in Augusta, Georgia. So we want to make sure that we're accommodating this demand that we're predicting. Various different, they have so many more data points, whereas in VATSIM, we kind of have to fly by the seat of our pants. It's difficult. So managing the balance between system-wide demand and capacity is what we do. It's difficult, but it is something that's enjoyable, I think. But if you have questions, basically, ask around, and if you can't find an answer, ask me and I'll try to get you an answer.
And thanks, Jeremy, for taking the time to sit down with me. And, let's hope to maybe get you in a future video and, maybe have some fun with it.
Yeah, no problem. This was enjoyable. There's a lot to learn about the command center. So I'll see you on the scopes.